this past Wednesday, and that one was in West Lafayette. And if you remember, the first time those two teams met, it was a 5-set thriller here in Bloomington, with Purdue coming out on top. They won the fifth set 15-13, whereas the Boilermakers, a bit easier of a go-around the second time around. They beat them 3-0 in straight sets, and a tough loss for the Hoosiers, who fell to 1-10 in Big Ten play and 12-12 on the season. So another big opportunity for the Hoosiers here in this one against the Wisconsin Badgers, but it's going to be a tall task.
Right, and in that game against Purdue, they just didn't have it that day, getting swept in 3 sets. And we've talked about it before. It all depends on what Indiana team shows up that day, whether they start out hot or start out a little slow like they're known to do sometimes.
So the starters getting set for both sides on the court. For Indiana, the same starters against the Purdue Boilermakers that played against them. Bailey Lebo starting in that libero position in place of Haley Armstrong, who is not injured. Coach Air just going with a little bit different of a lineup. And the Wisconsin Badgers, the number 4 team in the nation. A couple players to watch out for them. It's going to be Dana Retke in the middle, and their setter, Sydney Hilly, one of the most prolific setters in the nation. Here's Victoria Brizak to start it off for the Hoosiers. It's a good one. An overpass, and it's going to be a kill out of the back row for the Badgers.
And that was just miscommunication. It was a weird hit on the Wisconsin side of the net, and then nobody on the Indiana side had any idea where that ball was going to land, and everybody reacted a little bit too late to get anything done.
So an unconventional kill to start it off for the Badgers. They lead at 1-0, and now we get to take a look at Izzy Ashburn, the best server in the Big Ten. Averages just over half an ace per set at .55. She's got 38 on the season. Edwards on the right side. She gets blocked as Dana Retke's in there along with Molly Haggerty. Molly Haggerty had a huge matchup against Indiana the last time these two teams met in Madison. She had 20 kills in the 4 sets in that one. Ashburn will do it again, this time with a 2-point advantage. Brizek back to get it. We'll set it up for Bierman, swings through, and it's dug out well. Hilly pushes it outside. Haggerty tips it through and out of bounds. And Indiana is going to get the point.
It's a big point for Indiana here early in the game. Maybe they can get some momentum going off the serve, and serving is Brianna Edwards, who has been the best offensive player for this Indiana Hoosier team.
Brianna Edwards will have to be big for this Hoosier squad. Against Purdue, she had 12 kills, a block, and 3 digs. Here's Haggerty on the outside. Lofton on the block and played back over. Indiana now a chance. Bierman will swing through, and she tools it. Indiana ties it up at 2, and if you go back to that 4-set match, these two teams went up against each other back in September. If you remember, it was off of a tough loss to the Minnesota Golden Gophers just a day previous to that one. A very tough loss for that, and they came out against the Badgers, and they actually started off the match down 8-0 in the first set. Wisconsin with an 8-0 run to start it out, and then Indiana crawled all the way back, got it within 2 points, and ended up losing the first set, and then won the second set, and started to feel the momentum a little bit before falling off in the 3rd set and getting back into it in the 4th set again.
And maybe if they feel that momentum a little quicker here today, it'll look a lot different than it did their last matchup.
There's a high swing from Deja Lofton, who gets it to go down. And that's one thing that Indiana started against Purdue, was using Deja Lofton on both sides rather than just in the middle. Deja Lofton, obviously one of the best middle blockers in the Big Ten, a second-team All-Big Ten player last season. But now they're trying to use her on the left pin and the right pin, but that time she serves it out of bounds, and the Badgers will go back up by 1.
Deja Lofton, as you mentioned, in her last game, hit the 400 career block mark.
Here is Dana Retke. Badgers leading at 4-3. Bierman will put it up in the air. Now Edwards will have a chance, so she just chops it over. Hilly pushes it outside. Loberg on the swing, and that one goes down.
It's going to be a quick 5-3 lead now for the Badgers. Just a perfectly placed swing there. The ball just, nobody was able to get to it for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Dana Retke, a 2-time first-team All-American player, 6'8" middle blocker for this Badger team. Edwards out of the back row, and she tools it. So both kills for Indiana coming off of the block from the Wisconsin Badgers, gets Indiana within 1 and makes it 5-4.
Retke, as you mentioned, in the last two games, she has hit just over 500 close, and has 4.5 kills per set and 2 blocks per set after missing 2 games against Northwestern and Michigan State in late October with a foot injury.
Loberg on the outside, dug out by Edwards. Edwards out of the pipe, and that's going to be just out of bounds. So Edwards put a big swing through on that one, and you're talking about Redke. She's already a 2-time first-team All-American, and she's only a junior on this Badgers squad, and she's well on her way to another first-team All-Accolade season. She's hitting .428 at right at 4 kills a set. And a good serve is going to turn into an ace for the Badgers, and that has been their MO over the last few matches. Last 6 matches, this team is averaging just over 2 service aces per set. They're 15th in the nation at just under 2 on the season. Another good one. This time, Bierman will put it up in the air. And now it's a free ball for the Badgers. Hilly, back set, right side, down the line, and it's a kill. That one's going to go to Madison Duello, the redshirt sophomore out of Kansas City, Missouri. Make that redshirt senior.
Bailey Lebo for the Hoosiers got to that ball just a little late and couldn't get a proper dig in on it.
Hilly serving. Good pass from Edwards. Outside to Bierman. She's blocked. Danielle Hart in the middle there along with Duello, and the Badgers are cruising 9-4. Indiana had tied it up at 4, and it's a 4-0 scoring run right now for the Badgers.
All that momentum Indiana had when it was tied at 3 seems to have just completely dissipated.
Now a tip over, Indiana with a chance again. Right side, Sloan, dug out, overpass, and that'll be out of bounds, and Indiana will get the point back, and a big side-out point there to cut off the 4-0 scoring run by the Badgers and gets Indiana within 4. So now coming in to serve is going to be Cameron Malloy, a junior out of Roselle, Illinois. Good serve, finds Clark, slide attack to Hart, and she puts it down.
That ball was put perfectly, and Malloy had a sliding attempt at a dig, but was just a little too late on that. Speaking of Cameron Malloy, she's kind of just the super utility player on this Indiana Hoosiers team. She leads the team in aces. She's 5th in kills and 2nd in digs. So she can do anything wherever you put her in this rotation.
There is Lauren Barnes. It's a good one, and that's an ace. The 16th of the season for Barnes. And Indiana, going back to that Purdue match, they got aced 7 different times just in the first set. They got aced 9 times throughout the whole match. And already a few aces here in the early going for the Badgers, 3 of them. Or excuse me, 2 of them right there. Here's Jackie Armour in the middle. Hilly will back set it for Duello, and she'll get it to go down.
That ball landing right at the feet of freshman Emily Fitzner.
So it's a 12-5 advantage for the Badgers. And Lauren Barnes is still serving. So junior out of Naperville, Illinois, actually transferred from Minnesota last season. Here's Edwards, and she gets blocked. It was a tight set at the net, and Edwards puts it straight into the block, and it's a timeout by Indiana as they are down 13-5. The Badgers to go here in set number 1 as they're down 13-5. The Badgers on a 4-0 scoring run. Here is Barnes, another good serve. Fitzner will push it outside for Edwards, tips it over, tipped backwards, great save by Clark, and Indiana's got it back. Edwards again, cross court and out of bounds. And that point goes right to Tiffany Clark, the libero for the Badgers squad.
And earlier in that sequence, it was a really smart tip by Brianne Edwards. She saw they were ready to get up and block a hard hit ball, but she tips it with just a little bit of finesse, but Wisconsin was more than ready for it.
Now a 5-0 scoring run. Barnes again, this time down the line. Fitzner pushes it outside. Badgers with a good chance here. Haggerty will swing through, and Malloy finds it. Back to get it is Lebo. Edwards again, chops it over. Molly Haggerty on the left pin, swings through, and Lebo puts it up in the air. Edwards outside, she's blocked, and it goes down again for the Badgers. The 4th block already for the number 4 team in the nation.
And you can see why Brianna Ann keeps going to those little touch finesses over the net, because every time they go to hit it hard, Wisconsin's right there with Reitke at the net, with Hilly. It doesn't matter who's there. They're gonna block it, chances are.
Right side Sloan, and Indiana finally gets a much-needed side-out point. 15-6. It was a 6-0 scoring run for the Badgers before that point for Indiana.
Tiffany Clark got in there for a dig and it was too hard for her to handle. It just goes over the net. Point much needed for the Hoosiers there.
Megan Sloan finds her second kill of the match. Here's Bailey Lebo. Hilly back set it for Duello, and she gets it to go down the line. Very nice swing there, as Bailey Lebo looked like she was in good position for it, let it fly, and ends up finding a piece of the sideline.
That ball blew the doors off of Bailey Lebo, just got right by her.
Tiffany Clark back to serve, the libero out of Naperville, Illinois. Honorable mention All-American last season with just under 4.5 digs per set. Hilly outside, dug out by Fitzner. Now Sloan again with a chance, up in the air. Right side swing for Duello coming, and it's just a tip over. Here's Edwards, and she tools it. So it seems like every time the Indiana Hoosiers actually get a kill, it's off of the Wisconsin Badgers' hand. Haven't had too many clean swings through. And you can credit the Wisconsin Badgers defense and their front line being very physical at the net right now.
As you mentioned, they have 4 blocks already throughout the day, and I think that number's only going to keep going up.
Here's Tori Brizak. Duello on the right side, and she tools it off of Indiana. Deja Lofton was all alone on the left side, couldn't quite get it. Let's go back on the other side of the net. Madison Duello quietly having a very good match so far. That is her 4th kill on just 6 swings. Back to serve is going to be Izzy Ashburn. Deeper one that time, finds Edwards. In the middle, Hayden Hubers, and Hubers gets it to go down. It's a diving attempt put on by Clark, wasn't able to get to it. And you mentioned how you get a couple, I mentioned it earlier, how Indiana's putting in a couple of different looks out there for the other side, and the Badgers with Hayden Hubers going back to that middle spot, and that was a spot that she's very comfortable with in her first 3 seasons with the Hoosiers, is where she was. Megan Coors serving now for Indiana. Redke on the slide, put up in the air, but it's going to go out of bounds. Last off of Indiana, and Dana Redke finally gets her first kill of the match. That's one player that Indiana really has to key in on if they want to try to win this one or keep it close at least. As Dana Redke has been absolutely prolific all season. 4 kills a set. She had 16 against the Hoosiers the first time these two teams played. Hubers with the tip, back over. Bierman's there, and she'll put it down.
Bierman puts that one sharply down over the net for a good point.
Take another look at it. Bierman in the right place at the right time. And Kendall Bierman was actually the only person with more than 6 kills the first time these two teams played for Indiana. She had 11 of them in that one. Good serve from Lofton. Another save by Clark. Instead, it's going to go down. So Deja Lofton with another service ace, and Indiana's within 8, makes it 18-10.
An awkwardly placed ball for the Badgers. Nobody knew what to do, and they just come together on the ground with the ball below them.
The 18th of the season comes at the right time for Indiana. Hilly pushes it outside, put up in the air by Coors. In the middle to Armour, tips it over, and Wisconsin saying they were under it, but the referee's saying it was downright.
That was a good challenge there by Coach Sheffield. Referee Sally Bequerin acting as the down judge.
And really an unfortunate play for Wisconsin too, because they would have been able to keep that ball alive and play it out, and you don't quite know how it would have ended, but instead Indiana's going to get another chance. 18-10, a good serve from Lofton, and it's going to be back-to-back aces. So Indiana saying, that's all right, we'll do it again, and this time they win the point. And it's going to be another ace for Deja Lofton, 2 of them now, as that puts Indiana within 7. Lofton will do it again, this time a little deeper, finds Clark. Hilly outside, and that one goes down for Grace Loberg on the left pin.
Indiana had built up some momentum before that replay, and getting the point after kept it up. Wisconsin now ending what Indiana had going, sending Dana Redke out to serve.
And Dana Redke is one of the better servers on this team. Wisconsin, the best serving team in the Big Ten. And Redke almost gets one there. Now it's going to be tipped over by Bierman. Right side to Hart, and it's dug out well by Coors. Here's Bierman, cross court, and out of bounds.
That was a close ball, but just a little bit over the line, and Wisconsin knew it was going to be immediately. They didn't even try to go for it.
Badgers hit 21st. Dana Retke on the season has 25 aces. I mentioned how she had 16 kills the first time these two teams met, and Indiana is going to take their second timeout. Hoosiers are down by 9 in Bloomington. Second timeout taken by the Indiana Hoosiers as they find themselves down by 9 here in Bloomington. Indiana 12-12 on the season, 1-10 in Big Ten play, taking on the number 4 Wisconsin Badgers, who are 15-4 and 11-0 in the Big Ten. First in the Big Ten and trying to get to 12-0 for the first time in program history. Here's Dana Retke serving for the Badgers. Finds courts. Brizak, slide attack, Hubers, and Hubers with another kill. Aiden Hubers has been huge for Indiana in the last few matches, raising her hitting percentage and hitting north of 10 kills a couple of times.
Aiden Hubers is a part of the depth that Coach Aird talked about so much at the start of the season that was going to be so important to the success of this Hoosier team.
Here's Emily Fitzner, short serve, and it's going to be saved off the net and played over. Free ball for Indiana. Outside Bierman, and she gets it to go down. So Indiana within 7 after the good serve put on by Emily Fitzner. 20-13, and it's really been a picture-perfect start offensively for the Badgers, hitting .421 and holding Indiana to 107. Another good serve from Fitzner and saved up in the air by Hilly. Fitzner now will back set it to Sloan, and Clark's there to get underneath it. Outside, and that's out of bounds off the hands of Grace Loberg. And Indiana with a couple of points, back-to-back, makes it 20-14.
Showing a little bit of life, trying not to let this first set get away from them too much.
Indiana, no stranger in playing from behind. I mentioned how the first time these two teams met in the first set, they were actually down 8-0 to start the match. Crawled all the way back, got it within 1, and ended up falling by just a couple of points, and then came back, used that momentum, and won the second set. And could be a similar situation here if they can't get the job done. After a good serve, finds the floor, Emily Fitzner, and it's a 3-0 run for the Indiana Hoosiers. 20-15, and Wisconsin's going to use their first timeout.
Fitzner with a couple of short serves, confusing the Badgers and getting a couple huge points for the Hoosiers.
Take another look at it. Falls just over the net. No one was able to get there, and Indiana's within 5. The timeout taken by the Badgers will take it for Indiana. Fitzner will do it again. Outside, and Wisconsin a big side out point.
That'll end the 4-0 scoring run Indiana had off a big swing from Grace Loberg.
21-15 now as Grace Loberg gets her 3rd kill of the match. I mentioned how Wisconsin has been prolific offensively, hitting the ball, hitting .364 right now. They've hit north of 300 in the last 3 matches as Jackie Armour gets the job done out of the middle. (21-16), Indiana within 5 again. And looking to get another run here from Cam Malloy, who's going to go back to serve.
Indiana hanging on in this set despite hitting only 100 points in this set compared to Wisconsin, as you mentioned, hitting .364 so far.
Wisconsin is 5th in the nation, hitting .292, which is also 1st in the Big Ten. And that one's going to hurt from Cam Malloy. That's a service error and a point to the Badgers. Now the Badgers have Lauren Barnes coming in, who went on a run herself, her first time serving. Got the Badgers right around 5 points just from the service line. 22-16. Good serve finds Lebo. Right side to Megan Sloan, down the line, and a great save by Barnes. Haggerty, and Lebo's there. Now Brianna Edwards chips it over, and it's going to go down. So Brianna Edwards smartly just playing it over, trying to keep it away from the block, and Tiffany Clark was just a step late. Side out for Indiana, gets it back within 5 again, trying to get within 4 for the first time in this set since it was in the very beginning. Lebo has a short serve this time. In the middle, blocked and kept alive. Right side, Megan Sloan misses the tip, and that's going to be an attacking error from Indiana.
Sloan went up to hit it, and it looks like she just hit it off the side of her hand, like she took her eye off of the ball for just a split second, and it just careens out the side of her hand for just a really bad hit.
Here's Tiffany Clark serving for the Badgers. 2 points away is Wisconsin from taking set number 1. And that one's going to find the net as well. So Indiana within 5 again, but they're really going to have to put on a run here if they want to have any chance of stealing this first set from the Badgers. They've definitely made it respectable, 23-18.
Senior Victoria Brizak going back to serve, trying to get that run started.
Brizak down the line, finds Haggerty. Haggerty will swing through now, cross court, and it's going to go down. Put a lot of topspin on that ball, and it fell right in front of the face of Bailey Lebo. And it's set point for the Badgers, 24-18.
That topspin really fooled Bailey Lebo into being a step late. You could tell she hesitated just a little bit, and once the ball was really starting to fall, she realized too late.
Here is Izzy Ashburn, 10th in the nation in service aces per set. Edwards on the right side. Hilly pushes it outside. Lebo digs it out. In the middle to Hayden Hubers, into a block, and Indiana's got it back. Lofton on the left pin. Now Hilly will back set it for Redke, and Wisconsin takes set number 1. 25-18 off the hands of Dana Redke on the slide attack, and Wisconsin still cruising, looking to go to 12-0 for the first time, and program at the end of it got the set point for the Badgers on her second kill of the match so far. Indiana coming out here in the second set, being led by a couple of players, Brianna Edwards and Kendall Bierman, both with 3 kills. Brianna Edwards has 5 attacking errors, and Kendall Bierman with 2 attacking errors, so a lower hitting percentage for the Hoosiers as they hit 111 in that first set. And this is a Wisconsin team that is holding opponents below 200 in their last 6 matches.
And that's a bad sign for the Hoosiers, who in the last couple of games have just had a bad hitting percentage on their own.
Haggerty on the left pin, up in the air by Lofton. In the middle, Hubers, and it's going to be kept alive by Barnes. Right side for Duello, the tip is going to go down.
What's going to be big for the Hoosiers in this set is if they can not let Wisconsin go on scoring runs of 4 points at a time or 3 points at a time, they can keep it much closer and not have to go on big scoring runs of their own late in the set to even have a hope of winning it.
The Badgers lead at 1-0 in their early going of set number 2. It's going to be Tiffany Clark serving from the left side. Back set for Brianna Edwards. She's blocked, but it's going to be kept alive and ends up going out of bounds. What a block there from Molly Haggerty, who was all alone on the left side.
That ball looked like it was tipped into the air on the Indiana side by Hayden Hubers, and it went over the net, and nobody on the Badgers side really knew where it was going to land, but then it landed out of bounds for a big point for the Badgers there.
That was Haggerty's 26th block of the season. Edwards now on the left side, and she's going to get that one tipped. It was a great effort, jumped up in the air by Tiffany Clark there, who is one of the taller liberos in the Big Ten at 5'11", but couldn't quite get enough oomph on that one. Indiana gets their first point of set number 2, makes it 2-1. Indiana was down 20-11 before going on a 4-0 scoring run and make it 20-15 in the first set, as Wisconsin is going to get another tip kill right there from the left side.
Victoria Brizak just couldn't get there in time, and it falls in front of her face.
Izzy Ashburn in the last match against Maryland, which Wisconsin won in straight sets, had 2 aces in that one to keep her ace streak alive. She's got .55 per set this season. Lofton on the slide, kept alive. Haggerty tips it over, Bierman's there. Lofton will try it again, goes cross court, and a diving save there by Ashburn. Haggerty a big swing, and Lebo finds it. In the middle to Hubers, and it goes down.
Lauren Barnes, who's been a defensive force even in that sequence, digging out a Deja Lofton swing, just couldn't get to it on that one. It goes off her fist and goes down for a Hoosier point. Lofton back to serve now.
Hayden Hubers gets her 3rd kill of the match, makes it 3-2. Deja Lofton now will serve for Indiana. Almost getting her 3rd ace, and now it's going to be played over by Redke. Brizak, middle armor, blocked by Retke, and it goes down for Retke. Looked like it was going to be a good tip by Armor, but Retke she's 6'8", one of the bigger players in the Big Ten, one of the bigger players in the nation, and she's also a first-team All-American.
It doesn't matter how smart of an idea your tip is if it's good against anybody else. Against Retke, it has to be perfect.
Haggerty, a good serve. Put up in the air by Brizak. Bierman swings through and out of bounds. The third attacking error from Kendall Bierman, and that is the 11th of the match for Indiana. They're hitting 0-67 so far, just 7 points into set number 2. Another good serve. Brizak will back set for Hubers on the slide, and that's another attacking error.
You mentioned Wisconsin's holding their opponents in the last 6 matches to under 200 hitting percentage. They might hold Indiana to under 100 for the whole match.
Wisconsin on a 3-0 scoring run. Indiana hitting 0-43 now. Short serve. Brizak up in the air. Kendall Bierman will swing through, and Haggerty digs it out. Slide attack for Retke, and that one, no chance for Bailey Lebo.
That ball went off Lebo's shoulder, chest area into the first row of the crowd on the other side of the arena.
The Badgers against Indiana here on the road are starting off a road stand of 4 matches in a row. The first one here against Indiana. They'll then travel to Ohio State and Maryland, and then Minnesota before finally coming back home to take on the Spartans of Michigan State. As that ball is hit out of bounds last off of Indiana, and Wisconsin another point makes it 8-2, and it's a 5-0 scoring run. And Haggerty still serving for the Badgers.
You mentioned the 4-game road trip the Badgers are going to go on. That's a pretty tough road trip, especially with Minnesota at the end of that before going home to play Michigan State.
Indiana, a side out point off the hands of Hayden Hubers. Finally gets them another kill. Stops a 5-0 scoring run and gets Indiana within 5. Just the 15th kill of the match. Actually, both teams with 15 kills right now, but Indiana has 13 attacking errors as well. Badgers lead at 8-3. Here's Emily Fitzner. Goes cross court with it. Retke on the right side, and she tools it off the hands of Kendall Bierman.
You mentioned the attacking errors for the Hoosiers. You can't have those little lapse in thoughts, especially against a team like the Badgers. Especially, remember Megan Sloan's hit that went off the side of her hand and had no power on it. Just those little mistakes can't happen against a team as good as Wisconsin if you're trying to upset them. And there's another attacking error there.
Bierman put a big charge into that one, but it found the out-of-bounds line. And that is now the 14th attacking error for the Hoosiers, hitting down to 0-20, whereas the Wisconsin Badgers are hitting 400. They've got 16 kills and just 2 attacking errors. Retke, a good serve. Fitzner will push it outside. Bierman tries it again, up in the air and saved by Course. Now Sloan will swing through, and it's going to be a free ball for the Badgers. Loberg on the left side. The tip is going to fall.
A smart, beautiful play there from Grace Loberg, just putting it in no man's land for the Badgers for a good point.
Coach Air not liking what he's seen in the early going of set number 2. They lost set number 1, 25-18, and they're already down 11-3 in the early going of set top 25 team. All of a sudden, it's a stepping stone process, and so far they've been doing a good job of it, but it's always tough to see, and always tough to see your talents come to fruition on a 7-game skid like they are right now. Edwards will tip it over. And a kill for the Badgers on the left side. Grace Loberg tools it off of Indiana's block.
The Hoosiers hitting negative 105 points for the set. And you can see that in the score, 12-4, and just nothing going their way.
Just out of bounds from Sydney Hilly, the setter out of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. That wasn't out by much, and an interesting drill I saw the Badgers doing in their warm-up earlier before this match started is what they do. And most teams will serve before the match, but you see the net right there. They put a string about 1 foot, 2 feet above that net, and they try to hit it in between that string and the net and try to get it just over the top of the net and in bounds and try to make it tough on the other team. And that is why the Badgers are one of the best teams serving the ball in the Big Ten.
not only in the Big Ten where they lead the Big Ten in service aces, but they're 15th in the entire nation with just under 2%.
Almost another incredible save by Tiffany Clark, but instead it's going to be a kill for Brianna Edwards as she finds her 5th of the match, and Indiana is within 6. So a couple of points for the Hoosiers. Makes it 12-6, and Bailey Lebo is going to be back serving for Indiana. I mentioned how the junior libero broke a couple of school records last season with the Hoosiers, and then Haley Armstrong came in as a true freshman and beat her out for that libero spot as Danielle Hart gets one to go down deep in the backcourt for the Badgers. Makes it 13-6, but back to Haley Armstrong, Bailey Lebo. Coach Aird switching it up in that libero spot and trying to give Bailey Lebo a chance. Just kind of switching it up, switching some things up and trying to get a little bit different of a mojo going for this Hoosier squad.
And when you're on a 7-game skid, why not try out some new things? See if it can spark your offense, spark your defense, maybe get a little bit better. As we talked about earlier, 1% at a time.
And we're going to get a challenge here from Coach Aird. Deja Lofton on the swing. Indiana thought they got a tip from the Badgers. It did go out of bounds, and that is what was called. They called nope.
And Coach Aird's trust in her and what she sees led to that challenge becoming a thing.
Barnes serving for Wisconsin. Brianna Edwards on the left pin, cross court, and it finds the floor.
Edwards with a killer swing right there for a big point, stopping the Wisconsin momentum swing. Now it's 14-7, and Indiana looking to go on a little bit of a run themselves.
And Edwards has really struggled in the early going of this match. Before that kill, she was hitting in the negatives. Now 6 kills and 6 attacking errors back into the positives. 14-7, it's going to be Victoria Brizak off the tape and falls over. Into the middle. The tip is dug out well by Brizak, and now Edwards on the right side. Hilly puts it up in the air. Haggerty, cross court, Lofton puts it up. Edwards tries it again, tips it over. Clark finds it. In the middle to Hart. And it's going to be kept alive, and now it's going to be a free ball for Wisconsin.
Deja Lofton with a big save there.
A great up by Malloy. Lofton on the left pin. Great save by Clark. The long rally continues. Now a free ball for Indiana. Brizak, right side, Edwards, and it goes down. Indiana, huge points, makes it 14-8.
Brianna Edwards ending that long rally with a powerful swing, and you just can't ask for much better from Brianna Edwards.
It was a diving save put on by Tiffany Clark, and you can see in the background Coach Sheffield saying, well, come on, what are you doing? That ball was sailing out of bounds, but instead Edwards gets back-to-back kills. And now a deep serve out of bounds from Victoria Brizak gives the point right back to the Badgers, and that one is a dagger for Indiana.
Yeah, that hurts after getting 2 straight points. Looking like they could start a big scoring run, especially after a long rally that you win. That's a killer momentum right there.
So far, Wisconsin cruising offensively. We mentioned how they've had their hitting percentage high all match. It's been high all season as Deja Lofton comes back with the side-out points.
That ball went right between Tiffany Clark and Lauren Barnes. Neither of them really got on the same page communicating there who was going to hit that, so it just kind of got stuck between them.
Megan Quarles will go back to serve for Indiana. Indiana's down 15-9. They were down 20-11 in the first set before getting it within 5 and never really getting it closer than that. They ended up losing it 25-18 as Madison Duello puts one down hard on the right side, gets it to Toole off the block of Indiana. And Wisconsin will get the side-out point back, and now they have their best server going back to the service line. Izzy Ashburn, the freshman out of Daytona, Minnesota. Or excuse me, make that Dayton, Minnesota. Brizak over to get it, and now Lofton will chop it over. Hilly dumps it off, but Brizak's there to put it up, and now Quarles will put it outside for Bierman. At the net, dumped off again, and Hilly will get the kill.
I couldn't tell if that went off of Hayden Hubers or if Hilly just put it so perfectly between Bierman and Hubers for the point.
Well, no matter, Hilly gets her 31st kill of the season, and Sydney Hilly, an incredible setter as well. Averaging just under 12 assists per set, and that's going to be an ace for Izzy Ashburn. She's 10th in the nation at .55 aces per set, and she finds her first ace of the match right there, which makes it 18-9, and Indiana takes a timeout. We'll take a short timeout as well. Stay with us here in Bloomington and program history. Wisconsin has gone 19-1 twice in their program history. The first time was in 2001 when they went 11-0. So we see another good serve from Ashburn. 2 players back to get it for Indiana. And now it's a free ball for Wisconsin. And Haggerty will put it away. So the free ball turns into a point for Wisconsin and puts them up by 10.
And Izzy Ashburn on a great run as a server right now, coming off a service ace of her own and that kill from Haggerty. Looking for more here as she gets ready to put the ball up in the air.
19-9. Lebo finds it. Now Lofton on the right side. Clark puts it up in the air. Hilly, slide attack, Retke, and my goodness, inside of the attacking 10-foot line, and Dana Retke on fire for the Badgers.
Dana Retke, 6'8", hardly had to jump to put that ball down as hard as she did. She's just an amazing player to watch.
Dana Retke is hitting .428 on the season. Right now, she's perfect, 5 of 5. Just improving upon that .428 hitting percentage, which is going to be hard to do, but doing a great job of it. Huber's trying to answer, but Clark says no. Retke again on the slide, and Kendall Bierman is there on the solo block. It's a tough set, a tough swing for Dana Retke, and Kendall Bierman met it at the right time and put it back down, and makes it 21-9 and stops short. A 5-0 scoring run for the Badgers. Excuse me, make that 20-10. Lofton, another good serve. Outside Haggerty, and Haggerty again, a huge swing.
Haggerty getting it done today, and that block from Bierman on the sequence before was the first recorded block for the Hoosier team in this match.
Molly Haggerty, I mentioned she had 20 kills the first time these two teams met. She's starting to climb the leaderboard a bit. She's at 4 right now from that left side. Huber's on the slide. She gets blocked. Dana Retke and Grace Loberg were on the left side there. The 6th block, make that 7th block of the match for the Badgers. Now Haggerty serving. Finds Edwards. Brizak pushes it outside. Bierman, and Kendall Bierman, another vintage swing from the redshirt senior.
She lets one fly off the hands of Izzy Ashburn. That goes out of bounds for a big point for Bierman and the Hoosiers.
Indiana down by 11, 22-11, and looking to go on a big run here, and this is the same situation we had in the first set. Indiana was down 20-11, now down 22-11, but they have the same server in there in Emily Fitzner. Just a little bit more pace that time. Retke on the slide. Fitzner will push it outside. Bierman with the left hand just has to tip it over. Now Retke will try it again, and this time she gets the job done.
Had Emily Fitzner moving to her left to get that ball too slow. Victoria Brizak was also there, but just couldn't get there.
It's too easy for Dana Retke right now, who's got 6 kills on 8 swings. It's 23-11.
Retke back to serve now.
A good one. A great save by Fitzner and played over by Bierman. A whistle, and they're going to say it's going to be a net violation on Indiana as Emily Fitzner went sliding past that middle line. So it is going to be a point for Wisconsin.
It was a great effort by Fitzner. She was a couple feet away from sliding into the scores table.
So now it's set point again for the Badgers. 24-11, almost an ace. Bierman on the left side, and Indiana will keep it alive for just a couple of points more.
Bierman with a powerful strike there. Had Izzy Ashburn coming up with her shoulder shrugged like she didn't know what to do with that ball.
Kendall Bierman finding a groove a little bit for this Hoosier squad. She's now up to 5 kills on the match. Cam Malloy's going to go back to serve. Falls over the net. Hilly finds it on the slide, and Wisconsin wins the second set, this time off the hands of Danielle Hart. 25-12 in set number 2, and the Badgers are cruising up 2-0 in the match, looking to take it 3 straight from the Hoosiers. Stay with us on BTN Student U as we get ready for set number 3.
Best, 10th in the nation, as you mentioned. Just the Wisconsin Stars are playing like stars.
So Wisconsin is up 2-0 in the match. They've won the first set 25-18, and that backed it up with a dominant set number 2, winning at 25-12. They hit .448 in set number 2 with 14 kills and just 1 attacking error. They only have 3 attacking errors on the match, whereas Indiana have 16. Tori Brizak will start off for the Indiana Hoosiers in set number 3. In the middle to Retke. And kept alive by Lebo. Free ball for the Badgers now. Right side, Duello, and it goes down.
And a quick start for the Badgers. We were looking to just shut this match down.
The Badgers are fresh off of a straight set victory over the Maryland Terrapins their last time out. They traveled, that was at home against the Terrapins. A pretty easy win for them as they won that one 25-21, 25-14, and 25-20, and they hit 365 in that match. Right now they're hitting 414 against the Hoosiers. Haggerty on the outside, and a great save by Hilly. Haggerty now will just play it over. Up in the air, Lofton on the left pin. There's Clark. Now Haggerty another chance, and Lebo finds it. Right side, Edwards, tip, and it's saved. Molly Haggerty tries it again, chops it over, and finds the floor. Molly Haggerty has had the most amount of swings for the Badgers, her 19th right there, and she gets her 5th kill out of it.
Hitting 211, Molly Haggerty on the day. Just finds a spot where Bailey Lebo's a step late again.
And that 211 sounds like a bad number. She's actually the only player hitting under 300, but she's only got 1 attacking error, so it's not like she's giving points to Indiana, as we see a service error from the Badgers right there. And Indiana is down by 1, and Indiana has not led a single time in this match, as the Badgers have gotten the first point in both sets and then never looked back from there on out.
Indiana was able to tie it for a little bit in the first set, but after that, the Badgers just took off.
A left-handed tip over from Haggerty. Bierman at the 10-foot line down the line. Haggerty again swings through, and it's blocked and kept alive. Hilly in the middle, Haggerty this time off the top of the net. Bierman again, she's blocked, a great save by Hubers. And Bierman will try it again. Deeper, a one-arm save, and Indiana with it back. In the middle, Hubers, there's Clark. Haggerty now sets it over. Right side, Deja Lofton blocked, out of bounds, and Indiana wins the rally.
Another long rally between these two teams that Indiana takes again.
A great point for the Indiana Hoosiers, makes it 2-2, and they tie it up again. Just the 3rd time in the match it's been tied. The first 2 times came in the first set in the very early going, and the lead will go right back to the Badgers.
Megan Coors on the service error there. Indiana looking after that big rally. That's the 2nd time today they've won one of those big long rallies. Looking to get some momentum off of that, but the service error will put a dent into that dream.
The errors have been skyrocketing for Indiana. We're not even through 3 sets, and they have a combined 21 errors. A shoulder save from Clark there, and she gets another dig. Right side, Retke back over, and Clark finds it again. Now Lowberg, cross court and out of bounds. A couple of great defensive plays by both sides, but Indiana comes out with the point, ties it back up at 3.
And this is the most competitive the Hoosiers have looked all day since the first set and the very beginning of the first set.
Indiana did not look very good offensively through the first 2 sets. They're only hitting 0.85 on the match. 23 kills, 16 attacking errors, and yet another service error. The 6th of the match now for Indiana. That's 22 combined errors with attacking errors and service errors.
That's kind of been the MO for the Hoosiers recently, is just a ton of errors that pile up throughout the match that put them at a huge disadvantage against their opponents.
Retke, a good serve. In the middle, Jackie Armour, she puts it down.
She put that one down with authority in front of the 6'8" Retke, making sure that ball was going to be a point for the Hoosiers.
Jackie Armour, a very efficient night against the Purdue Boilermakers. Only had 5 swings, but off of those 5 swings, found the floor 4 times. She also had 1 solo block and 1 dig against the Boilermakers. Rose her hitting percentage all the way up to 311. There's Hart on the slide, and Hart will find the floor. Wisconsin retakes the lead again. So back and forth go the Hoosiers and the Badgers, trading punches in the early going of set number 3. And right now, Indiana looking like they don't want to go home.
Right, they don't want to send the crowd here in Wilkinson Hall home unhappy. And it's a big crowd for a Sunday afternoon.
And Bierman on the left side tips it over. Right side swing coming from Duello. Now Bierman again. Deeper finds Clark. She has been a rock in the back row for this Badger squad so far. Armour in the middle is blocked, and Bierman will throw it over. Right side, Duello, kept alive by Sloan. Back over the net, into the antenna. And that's going to be a points for the Badgers as they lead it by 2 now.
Some very competitive sequences here between these two teams to start the third set off. Getting the crowd into this game a little bit more than they have been.
I mentioned how Clark has been a rock in the back row as we see a solo block out of the middle from Danielle Hart. But Tiffany Clark, that libero in the white jersey right there for the Badgers, a rock in the back row. She's got 14 digs already, not even through the first 3 sets. And a serve into the net that time from Sydney Hilly, a service error. And a point for IU, makes it 7-5. It was a 3-0 scoring run, cut short by that service error. Cam Malloy will go back now for Indiana. Cam Malloy quiet so far stat-wise, and that's because of Kendall Bierman getting a lot more playing time as we get another kill out of the middle for the Badgers.
And that ball was placed where absolutely 0 Hoosiers were on the court. I don't know if that was just the formation or what, but there was nobody within 10 feet of the spot where that ball hit.
Madison Duello came up with the kill that time. She leads the Badgers with 9 and leads all players with 9. She's also got no attacking errors. There's Jackie Armour. Outside, Haggerty, and Indiana with their first block of the match. Make that second one. Kendall Bierman had a solo one earlier in the match. This time it's Megan Sloan on the right side.
You mentioned attacking errors a second ago. That's the big difference in this match is each team has over 20 kills with Wisconsin 31, Indiana 24.
Haggerty puts a charge into that one and pounds it into the ground.
Well, now 32 kills for Wisconsin, but the attacking errors are where the difference is. Wisconsin has 5 in this match, Indiana 17. Everything else is looking pretty similar stat-wise, but that attacking error is what's setting this match apart for the Hoosiers and the Badgers.
Wisconsin hitting .365 and an ace for the libero Tiffany Clark. Another ace for the Badgers. I mentioned how Indiana was aced 9 times against the Boilers the last time Indiana played. It's the first time in set number 3 and the 4th one of the match for the Badgers. Short serve again, and it's going to be back-to-back for Clark. Clark putting the pressure on Indiana and targeting Brianna Edwards in that back row. And now Indiana's going to switch it up, and they're going to stack the back row with Cam Malloy and Bailey Lebo being the only 2 options to serve it to. They'll switch it up and find Lebo. Fitzner will push it outside. Edwards swings through, and it's put up in the air by Hilly. Cross court, Lebo's there. Outside, Edwards, the tip. A great save by Haggerty with one arm. And Duello finds it. Edwards again. Hilly finds it. Up in the air by Clark, and Duello with another chance. Lebo, and it goes out of bounds. Duello put it straight into the face of Bailey Lebo, and it's going to lead to an Indiana timeout as we take another look at it. Straight down the line, and a little high for Bailey Lebo to handle. It's 12-6 in Bloomington. The Badgers cruising, the number 1 team in the Big Ten and the number 4 team in the nation. We'll take a short break. Stay with It's a 4-0 scoring run for the Wisconsin Badgers, the number 4 team in the nation. 15-4 on the season, 11-0 in Big Ten play, tying their best start in program history in Big Ten play, going all the way back to 2001. They ended up losing that 12th match in Big Ten play, but won the rest of them. They went 19-1 and won the Big Ten title that year. The only other time they went 19-1 in Big Ten play was back in 2014. They actually lost the first conference matchup of the season and then won 19 conference matchups in a row.
And that's just incredibly impressive. You can't ask for much better in conference, especially the Big Ten than that.
A couple of different players going for it, Bailey Lebo and Cam Malloy. Lebo put it up in the air, and that sent Malloy diving to the ground. And Wisconsin will get the point out of the timeout. 13-6, Tiffany Clark serving, and it's a 5-0 scoring run. She's got 2 aces in this run so far. Short one finds Malloy, almost an overpass, whistle, and it's going to be a point for Indiana. Dana Retke went over the net as Victoria Brizak got a hand on it, and Indiana with a much-needed point, as now we're going to see Megan Sloan go back to serve.
Here you see the violation there by Retke. Clear as day. She acts like didn't know what happened, but that's what every athlete does when they get called a penalty.
Another huge swing from Molly Haggerty on the outside, and she puts another one down. Molly Haggerty really finding a groove here in set number 3, as she is up to 7 kills on the match, and the offense has been spread around very well off the hands of Sydney Hilly. He's leading the way for the Badgers with 11 kills as Madison DeWello. Haggerty has 7, Retke with 6, Loberg with 5, and Hart with 4. Brizak outside, Lofton, and she's going to sail it. 15-7, Badgers leading by 8.
Badgers wasted no time starting this set, and now just pulling away at this point in the match, trying to end it all right here.
The Badgers are on their first match of a 4-game road stand, starting it off here in Bloomington, as we see a big swing from Deja Lofton out of the middle. That's one player who Indiana has really needed to get going offensively. Deja Lofton has been struggling as of late. She only had 3 kills and 3 attacking errors against the Boilermakers. She did have 2 blocks in that one to get her to 405 career blocks and get her 2 away from moving into the 7th all-time spot in career blocks at IU. Coors is going to sail one deep, and that one's going to go out of bounds. So it seems like every time Indiana gets the side out, they shoot themselves in the foot and give the point right back to the Badgers.
And like you said, every time, that's been their MO all day, is just giving points right back to Wisconsin as soon as they get a little bit of momentum going.
That's not to discredit Wisconsin at all. They're playing incredibly well, as they have been all season, as they get a block right there, but Indiana with another chance. Blocked again, and Bierman will keep it alive. Now Lofton will just play it over. Back set, slide attack, and it's going to be a kill for Dana Retke.
Lebo almost ran into the crowd for that one, just barely missing it. Would have been a highlight reel save if she'd have been able to get it back into play.
Molly Haggerty has been serving the ball extremely well in this match for Wisconsin. She gets another one right there. Bierman goes cross court, but Clark finds it. Retke again, Bierman a touch, and it's not going to be played over. Hilly couldn't quite get enough on it as it ricocheted off of a couple different Badgers and finally ends up going down for an Indiana point.
That was a mess of a sequence for Wisconsin there. Half their team was down at one point on the floor.
Now 17-9, and the senior Deja Lofton back to serve for Indiana. A little perspiration on the floor. They're going to wipe it up and make sure everything's dry. Lofton with 2 aces in the match. Sails that one out of bounds again. 9-point advantage for Wisconsin. And Wisconsin absolutely cruising in set number 3, just 7 points away from the best start in program history in Big Ten play. Looking to do it in convincing fashion. Retke serving, and that one's going to go out of bounds. Retke visibly upset with herself after that one, as that is one thing that Wisconsin does not do very often. They have 119 service aces and just 135 service errors, one of the lower numbers in the Big Ten. So now Emily Fitzner will go back to the service line for Indiana. Short serve again, this time it's dug out. Tipped over. Fitzner will back set it for Megan Sloan, and Clark finds it again. Loberg on the left pin, a whistle, and it's going to be a point for Indiana. Ball handling error on Wisconsin.
It's a big gift point to the Hoosiers there, looking to stay in this 3rd set and keep the match alive. They're down 7 now. Looking to get Fitzner on a run here as the server.
Short again. Hilly outside. Loberg rises up and puts it down.
That ball was off the hands of Megan Sloan at the net. Just nothing Sloan could have done to stop that one from happening.
Looked like Megan Sloan was in good position, but Grace Loberg put an even better swing on it. Went just enough cross court with it to get it to go off her hands and down. Not a great pass from Megan Coors, and now it's going to be played over by Sloan, and it's going to go down. Played it right into the block, which then brought it down to the floor, and Megan Sloan gets the unconventional kill.
Right, she put it right up on the hands of the Wisconsin defender, and it stayed up on top of the net, spinning like you'd spin a basketball in your finger for just a second, and it falls down for another big point. Still down 7, though, 19-12.
Here is Cam Malloy, been quiet stat sheet-wise. She's got 1 assist and 2 digs. Higher pace of a serve that time. Grace Loberg, and another kill for Loberg.
Loberg with the thunderous hit there, and there's nothing you can do for that. That blew the doors off of all the Indiana defenders.
Grace Loberg now up into the 7-kill club. 3 different players for the Badgers with 7 kills. And Dana Retke, Loberg, and Molly Haggerty. Loberg the most efficient in those 3 with 7 kills, just 1 attacking error on 13 swings. Good for a .462 hitting percentage. Service error there from Lauren Barnes will give the point back to Indiana and gets them within 7.
You mentioned good, efficient play. Well, Madison Duello has 11 kills on 0 attacking errors, hitting .647 on the day.
It just goes back to, we've talked about Indiana has had quite a few errors, but that's not to sell short the play that Wisconsin has put on the floors. Molly Haggerty finds herself another kill and gets out of that 7-kill club and into the 8-kill club. And now second on the team behind Madison Duello.
Right, you can't discredit the play of the Badgers, number 4 in the country. Indiana will give points back to them at times, but then Wisconsin will go on a 4.5, and they're looking to close out this match just 4 points away.
Wisconsin, one of the best serving teams in the Big Ten. They've got 5 aces on the match so far. Tiffany Clark has 2 of those, and she's serving right here. Edwards will swing through. Hilly, right side. Duello up in the air by Fitzner. Now Edwards another chance. Clark finds it again with a great save. Haggerty over to get it, and Duello puts it into the block. Megan Sloan, cross court. There's Clark. Haggerty again off the top of the block. Almost an overpass, and now Edwards will swing through. Up in the air again by Barnes this time. And it's going to be saved by Lebo. In the middle, blocked by Lofton, and the Badgers still with it. Duello trying to finish it, sails out of bounds, and Indiana wins the long rally again.
And the libero play on that from both teams on that point was insane. Earlier, Tiffany Clark had to move about 10 feet to her left to get to a ball, and then Bailey Lebo got to a ball that was right at her feet, and she wasn't a step late this time. She got it up in the air for the Hoosiers to keep that point going.
Haggerty makes it 22-14.
That was just a big strike by Haggerty. Nobody was going to be able to get to that ball. Wisconsin 3 points away from ending this match.
11-0 in Big Ten play. They sit atop alone in front of Minnesota at 10-1 and Nebraska and Penn State at 10-2. And those are the front 4 runners in Big Ten play so far. Michigan's in the 5th spot at 8-4 after a big win over the Illinois Fighting Illini and the Northwestern Wildcats this past weekend. Purdue falls right behind them in the 6th spot at 7-4. Purdue picking up a massive win, obviously over Indiana, but before that over the number 5 Cornhuskers.
And anytime you can beat a team like Nebraska, that's a big staple in your program, especially for that season.
Edwards pulling out the jump serve. Haggerty trying to go down with it again, and she does. Molly Haggerty has been impressive today. She's up to 10 kills now. I mentioned she had 20 of them in the 4-set match the first time these 2 teams met. She's halfway there, but Wisconsin trying to finish it in 3. Haggerty's going to go back to serve now. 2 points away. Right side slide attack. Lofton misses it and sails it out of bounds. And it's going to be match point for the Badgers. 1 point away from the best start in program history in the Big Ten. It's going to be Molly Haggerty serving the ball. Edwards. Brizak will push it outside. Cam Malloy on the swing. Here's Loberg off the block, and Edwards finds it. Outside Cam Malloy again. Clark with one hand. Over to get it, Hilly. And it's going to be played over by Clark. A high ball.
Hilly with a great one-handed save there to keep it alive.
Lofton, and it's going to go down for Deja Lofton on the slide attack. So it's going to be match point number 2.
This game's not over yet. Indiana doing everything they can to stay alive, but they're going to have to do a lot more being down as much as they are. 24-16.
Match point number 2, 24-16. Deja Lofton, the senior, will go back to serve, but not before they get the perspiration off the floor. Haggerty. Hilly will push it outside. Loberg into the antenna, and Indiana with back-to-back points.
It's only a 7-point deficit now.
Indiana trying to string together some momentum. 24-17. Here is Deja Lofton again. This time finds Clark. Hilly. Retke on the slide, and Wisconsin has their best start in program history in the Big Ten. 12-0 in Big Ten play as they improve to 16-4 on the season. And what a better ending than to see Dana Retke put it away.
All right, Dana Retke, the star of this program, gives this program its best start in history, the best start in Big Ten play. And I think this could go on. They play Ohio State next. They play Maryland next. 2 teams they should be able to beat. And then Minnesota will give them a great match. And I think this Wisconsin team can keep this going for quite a while.
The Badgers hit 337 and hold the Indiana Hoosiers